Well, hey folks, and welcome to Salvaging in Arizona. We're out at our spot today, and it is a lovely 91 degree, getting a little early heat this year. Yay. We're gonna go out today and we're gonna do some scrapping, and we're also gonna tell a story about forgers. People who commit the crime of forgery. So, if you want to hear about that. Well, okay folks, as we see, there are snakes out here. Definitely. That is a bull snake, and looked like he got a little bit of a tire mark on him there. But yep, they are out here. This one is not poisonous, but they sure look it. A lot of people get scared by these bull snakes because they think that they're a rattler, and I can see why. But as you can see, they don't have the rattle, but they sure mimic it. But yeah, this is what we got out here. Pretty cool. Well, okay, we're gonna start out at our first spot here. Already got a few going here. 223s right here, 762s. And like I said, we're going to talk about forgers. People who commit the crime of forgery. As I said in my previous videos, I was a police officer for 24 years, patrol. I'm going to give you an example, a real life one that I investigated. And here's what's great about spring in the desert. People think desert's just a barren place, and far from it. You can see bees on the flowers there. More beautiful flowers here. Get a nice shadow out of that. Really pretty. Desert is in bloom. As I mentioned, it is April here in Arizona. And these here, I'm not going to touch them, but they're also going to turn into flowers. And over here we have prickly pear cactuses, and these are going to be turning into flowers as well, and they actually make a candy out of these. Alrighty folks, on our way to our next spot, we're going to start doing a little bit of storytelling. Today we're going to talk about forgers. Forgery suspects, people who commit the crime of forgery. As I said before, I was a patrolman for all the years I was an officer. Some beautiful flowers there. And so I'm going to be telling it from the point of view of the patrolman first responding to the call of a forgery in progress. The detectives, of course, they have their end. Theirs is different. Theirs is, you know, it's not a happening fluid scene when the detectives get it. When the patrolman gets it, it's ongoing. So anyways, the call is called a 315, and for many years I worked the evening shift from 2 to midnight, and that particular shift we would get a lot of forgery calls because a lot of the forgery suspects would come in right as the bank was closing. It makes sense. I mean, it's the end of the day, people have been there all day, they just want to get the stuff done, and they figure that the clerk will be rushed and just send them on their way. So you'd get the call that would say mail at the counter of the bank presenting a check for, let's say, $4,000. They usually would, go for the gusto. Mails at the counter of the bank with a check for $4,000, and the bank is stalling him. They've gotten a hold of the check owner. He has said that that check is either stolen, no good, etc. And now the suspect is there behind or at the counter just waiting, and they're stalling him. So when you get that call, you get there, and there's usually 3 people involved in a forgery. The one who made it, the forged item, the one who brought the person there, and then the actual suspect. Now it usually is that way because the person who is making the checks is, let's say, higher up on the food chain when it comes to criminal stuff. He, she, whatever, we'll go he. He prints it out. He then arranges. I love being short, by the way. It's so fun. He arranges for someone to drive this suspect to the place to go cash the check. Now, one of the most important things that the person who has has printed the check is he needs somebody with a valid ID. And in the criminal world, those are hard to come by. At least one that belongs to the actual person. They got plenty of IDs rolling around the criminal world, but not all are good. So when they find somebody with a good one, that's who they want. And usually, not always, they're not the sharpest knives in the drawer. A lot of times, the folks who are actually walking in, presenting the check, have just started using drugs within the last few months, year. And now they're starting to get desperate. Somebody then approached them and said, hey, want to make some easy money? Here you go. So they go in. Now in the state of Arizona, there's 3 parts to forgery. Possessing it, which you have to knowingly do. Okay, we'll go into that later. Completion, signing it, filling it out, etc. And presenting for payment. That's pretty self-explanatory. So you get the call, person's there, and I always tried to get the person who was out in the car waiting for him, but that one was hard to get. So anyways, you get up there, and a lot of people didn't like forgeries because forgery is a weird crime in that it's easy to do but hard to unravel. Also, the premise of the crime is different. It's not give me it or else. Okay, it's not, you know, give me it. It's, hey, this is me. I'm so-and-so. I'm really not. But this is me. I'm so-and-so. Here's a check. Please give me this money in good faith. Good faith. Okay? So, just the whole premise is different. It's also a thinking man's crime. Because it's not something, you know, some forgeries are easy, don't get me wrong, but some of them, you know what? Sometimes you gotta tip your hat. As weird as that sounds. I mean, some of these people are darn smart. I mean, straight up. So anyways, how I would do it is when I get there is I would always have a blank field card. My field cards are a little stack of cards you'd have in your pocket. And I always have a blank field card. And that way when I got there, I could start writing down their story right away. And I wouldn't look away from them. I would always look at them. Because one thing that really fascinates me is the psychology, or fascinated me, is the psychology behind lying. The where you look, the body position, body stance, all that stuff. Very fascinating to me. And you really see it in forgery suspects, because the whole thing is lying. That's the whole premise, is a lie. So you're going up against someone who's got their A game going. You know, he may not be the sharpest knife in the drawer, but he's got it going. He's putting out everything he has to try and make you believe that either he didn't know the check was bad, or that it's real and I should allow the transaction to go. What I would do is I would just start the interview right away. Hey, how you doing? We got a call about a check you're cashing. What's going on? And then I would just start writing down the story. Because even though they got their A game on, they're still nervous. They're nervous as hell. You got to think about it. Right before this, they're sitting at the counter thinking they got $4,000 coming. So in their mind, it's going to be a great night. You know, it's about 4:30 in the afternoon. You're going to get $4 grand. You're going to have to split it, of course, with the guy who printed out the check and with the guy who drove you there. But so here you are. You're at the counter as a suspect, and now you got, I'm sorry, you're thinking you got some great night ahead of you, and now you got me staring at you in the face. I wouldn't want that. Anyways, so you start writing down that story and you write it fast. I remember seeing some of my cards, man, they were just chicken scratch. But that's great, because then I would have another officer just sit with the guy. I would just let him cool his heels. And I would tell the officer, don't talk to him, just stand there with him. So we would. I'd go in there and talk to the clerk, find out all the particulars, you know, and if I could, talk to the actual owner of the check on the phone. And if they said, yep, it's a go, I would go out there to make the arrest. I'd have to make the arrest right there. I mean, if you know you're going to arrest someone, you start questioning them, then you're getting into Miranda and that kind of stuff. And so if I had enough, I would just go out there, make the arrest, Mirandize them. And a lot of times you would think that they wouldn't talk, but they did. Because again, the explanation is the key. They're trying to convince you, that get you to go in on this lie. So yeah, they're gonna talk. Most of them did. And I'm gonna tell you a story here about, a real quick one, about one of my biggest forgery cases that I had I was case agent on. I was initially called to it. There's a place, and it is called Fry's Electronics. They've been around for a long time. They are now closed. Fry's Electronics has an amazing security team. They had an amazing security team. It was all in-house, and those guys gave a damn. They really did. They really cared. And they were good at what they did. And not only that, they had an amazing, I mean, it was an electronics store you would imagine, but they had an amazing security system. I mean, even back in the day, and the case I'm talking about goes back to 2004. So even then, they had an amazing security system, cameras, I should say. They could zoom in on a cashier's fingers to see what that person was typing. They could zoom in on the screen to see if there was employees doing funny stuff. It was amazing what they could do. Anyways, we got a call of a 315 in progress from one of the head security guys there. Real good dude, guy's name was Steve, like mine. And Steve, if you are listening to this, I want you to drop a note in the comments, because I want to talk to you, man. You're a hell of a dude. Anyways, he calls and says, hey, there's a guy at the customer service desk. He's applied for a credit card. He's been approved, but I don't believe his ID is real. That was the call. He's been approved for a $5,000 credit limit. Okay, he's already approved. So anyways, I talked to Steve, the security guy. He tells me that the guy's got, I think it was a Colorado license or something like that, driver's license. And he looked at it somehow. I don't know if he went up there, like I said, they're all plain clothes, so he might have just acted like a manager or something. But he looked at it and he says, I don't think it's right. So he goes, just have a look at it. So I go and talk to the guy. Oh, here we go again. Another one looking like brass, or nickel coated brass, but it's not. So I go up and talk to the guy and say, hey, what's going on? He says, oh, just here shopping, getting a credit card, doing some shopping here. And so I said, well, can I see your ID? And he gives me a Nevada driver's license. I said, did I say Colorado or Nevada? I forget. I think it was Colorado. Immaterial. So he gives me that, and I run it and look at it and realize it is fake. So at that point, you know, prior to that, I'd asked him, you know, what's going on, and like I said, he's just claiming I'm just here shopping. That's all I'm doing. So I explained to him, you know, how this isn't real, what's the deal, and he's swearing it's real, it's real, it's real, yada yada yada. So all I have on him at this point is the fake driver's license, which is a crime in the state of Arizona. So I arrested him on the fake license possession. From there, he was searched and found drugs on him. And meth. What? Come on now. Anywho, so then we get to the story. And this was a 16-hour call from start to finish. I was supposed to get off at midnight that night. I think I got off at like 4 or 5 in the morning. And this was what he did. And again, sometimes you straight gotta tip the cap to him, because this guy was from California. Okay, he came out to Arizona specifically to do this. While in California, I don't know what city he was from, he knew a guy who sold fake documents of real people. So this particular person, for the right price, would provide you a credit report of a real person. John Smith, making it up. John Smith's credit report. Okay, John Smith has got great credit. John Smith's got an 820 credit score. And somehow this person, and I saw these with my own eyes, so I know this for a fact, this person got the credit reports of all these people with amazing credit. I was jealous. I mean, these things were 820, 830. I mean, this was, like I said, I was jealous. And then what this person would also do, for the correct price, he would provide a driver's license to match that credit report. Okay, so with the credit report for John Smith and a license matching John Smith, this person then took those things, and by the way, he also had 22 more. Okay, let's not forget that he had 22 more. Okay, he had 23 people's credit reports and a license to match the credit report. So what he did was, he came to Arizona, and I'm sure he probably had other states in mind. He came to Arizona, and he was going to all the different stores that had store credit. Best Buy, Fry's Electronics, Home Depot, places where you could get real expensive stuff for on you know, on the credit cards, of course. What he would do, he would walk up to a counter and say, "Hello, I am John Smith. Here is my credit report. Here is my license." Boom. And they would ring that up and they'd say, "Yep, there you go." And by the way, all the licenses somehow had his photo. Amazing how 22 licenses could all have the same photo. But anyways, that's what he did. And what was interesting too was that while now this is 2004, so cell phones were, people had them, but nothing like today. I mean, nothing like today. And he had a cell phone, you know, one of them little Nokias, and little weird, you know, stupid ringtones. And that phone kept ringing and ringing and ringing. And finally I picked it up and I just said, "Hey, what's up?" And they just said, "Hey." And I'm like, what's going on?" They said, "Hey, we need 2 laptops, big screen, a couple hard drives." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah. And that phone kept ringing off the hook. He was taking orders. He was taking orders and using the fake credit cards to buy all the stuff. So, and he was probably making insane amounts of money doing it. That's the weird thing. I mean, forgery, they're your highest dollar crimes right there. 100%. You know, guys would go and stick a gun in the face of a clerk, something stupid like that. They get a couple $100, and they'll probably wind up with 5 years time for that. Here's something interesting, just to show you how long people have been shooting out here. Every time it rains, you always get a new revealing, is what I call it, of shells. And it's weird. You just keep digging there. That's why I like this tool too, because you can hit the bottom like that. You can get all these old rusty shells and get them up. Look at that. I mean, God, how long has that thing been here for? Man, look at these old things. It's rusted out. Buried forever there, and then they pop up. Interesting. I like getting these ones out because these ones been here for a long time. You definitely want to get these out. So keep on going here. Get the old rusties, and we'll move on. Man, I tell you, summer's coming, and I'm not looking forward to it. Scrappers on the hill. Scrappers up on the hill. This is the earthen dam. There are people out here. Not that many, mainly going for brass. When you see them hunched over like that, they're going for brass. All right, well, as the sun sets, we hit one more last spot, the one where I was just talking at, and I want to show you what I got here in just this short little area. I mean, like right about here. This is all I did, and I got about almost 3/4 of steel. So steel is steel, however it comes. It comes with little things like this, or it comes as a big washing machine. But either way, it's a way to get scrap. I'll tell you guys a way to get some good scrap and get you to go out here in the desert, see some beauty. All right, so there's that one there. And let's get the other one. I'd say that took me 25 minutes at the most. So, shoot. This was one spot in like a 10-foot or 20-foot area, and this was a couple different spots. So, this one here definitely got the steel shooters. Now, this one also is one of the first ones you hit as you're coming in from town. So, and it's easily accessed by a car. So, I do like to hit this one. This one can be good for steel or brass. It can. This one's kind of a crapshoot. Alrighty, let's head out. Okay, folks, in my haste, I forgot to do a wrap up. Okay, well, today I was a little hindered on time. I had grandchild duty today, so I didn't get out here till late. Kind of nice. It was a beautiful breeze blowing. But we just got a little bit of steel today. Not all that much. So my phone goes off here. It's my ex-wife. Huh. That ought to be interesting. Anyways, we'll ignore that call. And we'll talk about, got some steel there, scraps, a little more steel over there. And this is enough for a turn-in, but, and just a handful of brass. Like I said, I was pressed on time, but got to get out here today in this beautifulness. Love it. Listen to some freedom sounds. And you guys have a great one.